Welcome back to the channel. We have a lot of big news today. Now, if you remember in the past, I had spoken about how payments, instant payments, traceability, global reach was going to affect the gig economy, and the gig economy was going to affect instant payments. Now, if you remember, when we covered some videos last year, I was saying how it was like an experiment where certain gig apps, I think it's like Uber. I'm not sure who else does it, but I'm pretty sure most of them have attempted this. They have what's called instant payouts. Okay. And I spoke about how I felt that if they ever wanted to do this on a mass scale, not like Uber, but like all of the different small and medium-sized businesses wanted to engage in something that was similar to instant payouts, they would need to integrate with the new financial system, and they would need to have low cost, because listen, if you're going to roll this out on a massive scale, you need low cost. One, you're going to need speed. Two, you're going to need traceability, because let's be real, a lot of these companies, you look at what's going on, a lot of money goes missing. Yeah. A lot of people complain to this day. I've seen even articles and videos, people complaining. Oh, where did this payment go? They said I received it, but it wasn't there. Right. DLT makes sure that's not going to happen. Immutable ledgers. Right. They need immutability. I was saying they were going to need something like that. So now that you have, follow me here, this is attached to a lot of value, a lot of consistent value. And I believe is one of the reasons, right? Like I said, we made 2 or 3 videos about this last year. They're still up. You can still watch them. This is one of the reasons why when Ripple came out about 2 months ago, remember they said, we think we're going to, snatch up a good amount. I'm paraphrasing, a good amount or a ton of small and medium-sized businesses. Right. What were we focused on? We've been talking about that for a while. Why would they be so confident in that? Well, not only do the small and medium-sized businesses need DLT, but for a variety of reasons. Not just for the basic reasons that we know, but things like this. I think this is why they're discussing this now. This massive utilization possibly of instant payouts. You don't want to wait the 2 weeks or the 1 week to get your paycheck. Cash out today, cash out in 2 days, 3 days. Why would they not utilize that? This is why they're talking about this now. They're testing the waters. They're putting it out there. Who knows how far it will go? We'll have to observe, but I'm going to read it. Let me read this little tidbit to you, okay? And keep this in mind for the future as a future catalyst as we start to see the bank coin companies, DLT, get fully rolled out into small and medium-sized businesses, especially across the United States. But it says this, right? It says, as instant becomes the new normal, the competitive bar for payments providers is rising. You see, from that little experiment, they were able to gather a lot of interesting data. How expensive is this to do this? What companies offer the best products? How fast are these so-called instant payout? We know instant means something different to every company. Some of these companies have said instant and it takes 3 to 5 days. Some of them say instant and it takes 24 hours. Some say instant, it takes a few seconds. Instant means something different to all. So it's like, who's the best? They got to observe. They got to test these things out, right? What about traceability? They were able to test that out. Were they satisfied? Were they not? If they were satisfied, why are we here now asking about what's the best of the best and them searching for, for the environment to become more competitive? The only time you say that you want the environment to become more competitive is if you're seeking for something that is better than what you have currently. And I was just using that one company as an example because that's the one I know off the top of my head that's doing this. A lot of these companies, in order to bring back a lot of those employees that have left these companies or they're job hopping right now. And if you read a lot of articles, you're seeing that people are leaving their job left and right, even in an economy where the job market apparently is very tight. I don't know about the numbers right now. I know what I'm hearing from the people right now as they're being interviewed. And they're saying, oh, it's so difficult to find a job. Yes, but the companies are looking for quality employees, right? So to lure more people in to apply and things like that, they're going to have to offer incentive. Yes, it's just the way that it is. They're going to need incentives to bring people to these companies and keep them there. And instant payouts, instead of once again waiting for 2 weeks ago. A lot of people get paid every 2 weeks. Instead of waiting for that, now you can cash whatever you earned out in the next 3 days, 2 days, 4 days, whatever you need. You got a bill to pay. You can access that capital you earned right now. But let's keep going. Keep that in mind. This is big time stuff. This is real research. Keep this in mind. It continues. The competitive bar for payments providers is rising. Consumers now expect real-time access to their money. It's not changing. All of this is coming out the same year DLT is being unleashed, folks. This is not a mistake. It's not. They want real-time access to their money and will reward companies that deliver it. This is why all these companies, all these small, medium-sized businesses, even the large ones, are in a scramble right now, testing DLT systems, making phone calls, taking meetings, trying to strike deals. They're all scrambling right now. This is why the industries are putting pressure on them to update their systems. Not just the part of the systems that move value, but the messaging aspect as well, which is all going to be combined together when you're talking about DLT. Instead of having it ripped apart like the old systems, where the information is sent through one system and the value sent through another, which is very questionable. No longer is going to be like that. DLT combines it all together. The information and the value sent all together. It's another thing they desire. But let's keep going here. It says this. So, will reward companies that deliver it. They're letting companies know, hey, listen, you want to thrive? You want to not close down? Because a few videos back, we read from the pros that a lot of businesses will probably close. They did the footwork. They did the interviews with a lot of businesses. They said about this, their numbers. They said about 50% of businesses probably will be closing. That's unbelievable if that's accurate, if that's true. I suggest look at a bevy of different sources, a lot of different sources. But that's what that one source said, okay? Now, it continues. The winners in this new landscape will be those who can combine reliability. Reliability. That's not something that has come through the legacy system. And once again, they've already tested their version of instant payouts. It hasn't been reliable. So this does not apply to them. So then who are they anticipating to integrate with? If they're asking for reliability, if you have to ask for something, it means that you haven't had it. The DLT system, the bank coin system. In my humble opinion, you could disagree with it. I'm fine with that. All right. Speed. They don't have the speed. This doesn't occur in a few seconds. What are you going to go with? Are you going to go with a system that takes a day? 10 hours, 12, 15 hours. Maybe your stuff doesn't come at all. You're one of those people that may have to complain and launch a complaint because your payment we don't know where it went. Or do you want a system that this all takes place in 3 to 5 seconds, XRP style? Once again, isn't it interesting? The timing. They came out, they talked about going after small, medium-sized businesses, which is something I was talking about for years that I knew that they could dominate. Now, there's been some time between that statement and this article coming out. People will forget their minds. Some people's minds, they just let go quickly, and they'll forget all about that. That's powerful. They don't have to say things over and over again. Once they hand you a hint, a clue, as a detective, you got to get on the case and start looking into these things. That's if you take it serious. If you don't want to just guess and sort of kind of gamble like you're rolling some dice, you need to know. There's nothing better than knowing. But it says here, speed and convenience. You press a button. It's not just convenience for consumers. It's convenience for consumers, for their employees, convenience for the companies. What's more convenient than meeting all of them on a level of simplicity? So for the company, some of these things don't have that much coding. We've seen them whittle down some of these mechanisms down to 1 to 2 lines of code, right? All right, so that's convenience for the companies. For consumers and employees, you press a couple of buttons and, with a streamlined interface, you're able to access your capital with a couple of presses of a button. Maybe even one button, and some people do that fingerprint thing. You access it, so you're not even pressing too many things. And you're able to access your value instantly, 3 to 5 seconds. They know this. They know this. Then once again, David Schwartz has been confirming, it was within the last week, he let everyone know again, XRP is used more than anything else. Period. No debating. XRP is the core of everything. He said again, no debating. There can't be two XRP prices. It doesn't get better. With the information that he's putting out there, they're letting people know definitively XRP is at the core of everything. Now, all these bank coin companies have to do, whether it's Ripple or Solana, Chainlink, whatever, they just have to take the meetings and close the deals. This is going to be easy because they can offer these initial mechanisms and offerings at prices that are much lower than what the legacy system is going to offer with technology that is superior. This is their chance for domination. Over the next year or two, you're going to get to witness, observe how this all plays out. And you'll know just from seeing which way you want to go, which way you want to move. If you're in it that long, that is. Who knows how long people plan to be into these things. I'm going to tell you one more time, in my humble opinion, not financial advice, I only speak for myself. There's no way with this type of potentiality in the dilapidated state, number one, the dilapidated state that, and I'm just going to take the U.S. The U.S. business systems are to the point they're coming out with articles every 2 to 3 days, going into new detail about how dilapidated the systems are. And then when you hear the thinking from some of these minds, you realize how anachronistic their thinking is. So you can't have forward momentum if you have a backward moving mind. If you just want to stay the same, you don't see the problem, you cannot solve it. That makes it easy for the taking. Easy. And the pressure, that's another thing. The pressure from the central banks and from the top banks is going to increase on all of these lesser businesses because they see the opportunity and there's no more time to waste. Now, I also will say this. There's a lot of smoke screens going up, but you can tell what they are. There's certain things getting put into place and they're going to try to make the people less bullish so they can acquire, so the companies can acquire more crypto. The people will turn away and sell and the companies will buy. And you're saying to yourself, oh, Mick, you're just saying that, Mick. What's the proof? I'm glad you asked that. Let's jump here. I was going to do a different article here, but you know what? Perfect timing. Look at this. This is proof of what I'm saying. I mean, you've seen proof over the last 2-3 months if you're observing, but here's more proof. This article is titled OG, original, old school, the first. The whale, the ones that said they never would sell. They're going to be in Bitcoin forever. They held Bitcoin for years. OG Bitcoiners are rotating out, selling. We usually like, Bitcoin is always getting sold or bought. That's not the important part. Just wait. Look at this. Old Bitcoin being sold to new institutions. Right, you couldn't get around it. That first sentence exposed everything. They're selling to institutions. That's it. End of article. That we really don't have to go beyond that. You see the game? For weeks, folks, and that's what I'm telling you, for weeks, they were bombarding these Bitcoiners. Bitcoin's going down. I still see it. Based on what? What catalyst has left? I'm asking questions. Humbly, I ask. What major catalyst is gone? Did nations lose interest in Bitcoin? No. Did states lose interest in Bitcoin? No. Did the people, apart from them being manipulated, lose interest in Bitcoin? Remove the manipulation, which is happening through articles and probably videos as well. Trying to provoke, prompt, and catalyze the people to sell. Other than that, the people would not be bearish. They would be bullish. But wait, the institutions are buying. So none of the catalysts have left and the institutions are bullish. That's interesting, isn't it? They're buying while everyone else is selling. And we've seen a pattern of this. Folks, they want the crypto. They want your crypto. They want their crypto. They want it all. They're about to pull off the biggest. And I want to phrase it this way. I mean, no disrespect whatsoever. They're about to pull off the biggest heist of all time without even pulling a weapon whatsoever. I'm very serious about that. You can disagree with that. I would respect your thoughts. I'm not here to convert anyone to how I think or any of that stuff. I simply speak for myself. Folks, this is about to be a heist. I see where it's going, and I said this weeks ago, watch the manipulation. Let's read this a little bit. Let's read this a little bit more, okay? And I think the wise would be careful in these times, do their own research, because when you see things for yourself, you cannot be manipulated. Then you make your own decision. If you choose to sell on your own, sell on your own. If you choose to buy on your own, buy on your own. With no influence. That's the right way things should go. But it shouldn't be these powerful forces are like, move this way, move that way, move this, and playing these mind games. They know. Let's read this little tidbit. Old Bitcoin being sold to new institutions is a sign of its, quote, integration with the financial system, unquote, Ryan McMillan, chief investment officer at Merkle Tree Capital, told Cointelegraph. Yes, but there's a deeper story in that sentence, sir. Why is it that the old Bitcoiners who've been there for so long, and yes, they have great profit. They're in profit for sure, made a great deal. But why would they sell? I just don't understand that. Why would they sell if Bitcoin is still so bullish that the institutions are buying still at this high level, this high price, which means that the institutions who hired, they're not here to lose money. They're not. Apply this same logic to the bank coins. That's being kept even more quiet. Right? Because they're not as mainstream as Bitcoin just yet for the evidence to be put out there for a multitude of people to see. Not yet, but the Bitcoin exposes it all. What they're doing with Bitcoin, they want to do to the bank coins later. Just like with the ETFs, they did it with Bitcoin first and they come for the bank coins later. Now you see XRP, they're trying to do ETFs for XRP. Solana, they're trying to do ETFs for Solana. Folks, watch Bitcoin. It's showing you the archetype. The schematic. Circling back around. But they're so bullish that they're buying Bitcoin at these prices. Which means, logically speaking, if they're not here to lose money, they expect Bitcoin's price to go much, much higher. Folks, let me tell you something. A lot of these OG Bitcoiners, they're multi-millionaires. You believe that they don't have the same financial analyst, researchers, or the possibility to have access to that as these institutions? They have to know. They have to know that Bitcoin is still super bullish. Then why sell? Why sell? There's a few different dynamics at work here, but I will also say this. A lot of those who have, I'm trying to see how, think of how to phrase this. Once you get to a certain level with either capital or fame, you end up in those same circles as the people that are running these companies. I know it for a fact. Everybody's at the same gatherings. Tell me I'm fibbing. They're at the same gatherings, having dinner, getting free stuff, hanging out, talking. And they become buddy-buddy. They become friends. Most people are not loners. They want to make friends. And at that level, you start to hang around people that are around your financial level. And so now you're buddy-buddy with them and they start getting in their ear. They know everything's bullish and they say, hey, listen, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. You have to look at the connections. It's all a play is what I'm saying. It's all a play. It's all a play. So the news is bombarding the people with negative news about Bitcoin, which in my humble opinion is greatly false. Because the big explosion, the big bull run, this wasn't it. In my opinion, this wasn't it. This was a flash, a flicker, a glimpse of what is to come. The big one is still to come. All the catalysts are getting bigger and bigger. They didn't go away. And no major negative catalyst, in my humble opinion. There are negative catalysts, but not one big enough to negate what is to come. I just don't see it. And yes, you could make the argument just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. All right, fair point. That's why you walk that path. I walk this path. To each his own. No problem. But they bombard the people with this negative information to get them to sell. Then you see some they say OG Bitcoiners are selling, which is true. But how much are they selling? What are they doing? What's their connections? What did they acquire around the same time that they're selling Bitcoin? Who did they acquire it from? What are those connections like? And who they acquire those particular assets from, those particular things from? Is that entity getting into Bitcoin heavily? And you start looking real deep into those types of things, which is with great difficulty. But those who know, and some of you out there, you're able to actually have conversations with some of these people, you'll begin to say yes. And then I think the only logical conclusion is to believe that there is a play here, a heist. The companies are pulling every string so they can acquire Bitcoin. Then they will run that price through the roof. The altcoins will explode also because of that. Liquidity will come out of Bitcoin. It will go into the altcoin. It always happens. It never failed. You see Bitcoin at a higher price now? Yes. You see the altcoins at a higher price now? Yes. Than where they used to be. They're not 50 cents, 60 cents anymore, right? All right, so they're at a higher place. So inevitably that's going to happen. They're going to run that price through the roof so the companies can eat. They want all the regular people out. Then later on, once they feel comfortable enough, I don't know when. I'm not a part of these companies. I don't know these people. I just know what they do from observing them. Like a good researcher should do. When they're ready, they will, once again, they'll turn that manipulation out from this way to that way. And now they'll run the positive news. Oh, these maxis are, buy Bitcoin again. Bitcoin is good. And try to get everyone to get back in it so they can run that price up and sell on them. Same thing with the altcoins. Same thing. They're going to rinse and repeat because they know they can. They believe they can. But make no mistake about it. The biggest Bitcoin explosion, the biggest crypto explosion, the bank coins 2 XRP is in there, is to come. It hasn't happened yet. In my humble opinion, you do what you want to do, make your own decisions. All right? Not financial advice. It's to come. And I mean that with all of my soul. I had to go deep. Soul and mind. We shall see. We shall see, folks. There's a little bit more. This stuff got deep today. That aspect in the beginning of the video, folks, with this instant payout, this is going to be huge. People want their money now. This opens up the opportunity. Companies are going to need this instant payout capability at a low cost. They don't have capital to just throw around on something that's going to fail. Bitcoin companies are there with a cheap product. They can undercut their competition, just like Amazon used to do. Remember how Amazon, they used to sell their books and everything else at a much lower cost until they had companies complaining about them. People forgot that. I didn't forget. These Bitcoin companies could and should do the exact same thing if they want to get in position. We'll see what they do. But this is for the taking. 100%. The companies will save money. Their employees and their customers will be highly satisfied. Instantly, they get access to their value. Instantly. They know where everything is. No payment goes missing. That's going to be huge. They know that. They know that. Ripple knows that. Algorand knows that. Solana, they know this. They don't even have to talk about the small, medium-sized businesses because they know the precarious state that they're in. In my humble opinion, that's trillions of dollars on the table for the taking. Easily. And that's not to mention that, and I should have spoken about this in the beginning of the video, they can package all of this together with global reach. What business doesn't need global reach? And advanced AI. The AI searches for new products for you to sell. That's easy. It's actually not that difficult to do just on one's own, let alone if you utilize AI. Then on top of that, okay, you can't sell here in this particular region that you were selling in. Sales have dropped. You can easily search up where else you can sell this product. Where's a hot area that's buying? AI will bring that to you, and then at a low cost, you can have, with your global reach, you can sell over there. Low transaction fees. Businesses are going to gobble that up. There's a new age coming. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.